Claude Code is hands down my favorite tool to use in the AI space, but I do admit that there is a little bit of a technical hurdle to get used to Claude Code, jump in and start building great things. You have to be familiar with the terminal and the command line, and I think that's exactly where Anthropic's new tool, Claude Cowork, comes into play. So it takes everything that's amazing about Claude Code and packages it into a desktop app that the usual, normal, regular person can start building. They can create Word files, PowerPoints, Excel files. They can have it do analysis. They can start automating tasks. They can have it control the browser. So I think it's an amazing tool to start broadening the exposure to what Claude Code can do. So in this video, we're going to walk through a few use cases. We're going to dive deeper than just the regular, let's clean up the desktop. So we have some use cases we're going to go through, try to push it to its limits. I'll point out what goes well and where I think it's struggling right now. So with that, let's jump in. Okay, so to get started, there's two requirements you have to be able to use Claude Cowork. First, you have to have a Claude Max plan, and second, you have to have a Mac. This is still in the beta and the testing stages, so I'm sure it's going to come out for other computers after this, but for now, you have to have a Mac. And so once you have the two of those, you download the Claude desktop app, and Claude has a few different things within the app. You have the chat function, which is your regular chat UI. You have Cowork now, and then you also have Claude Code. So today, we're just going to focus on Cowork. And so the first thing you want to do is you're going to want to point it to a folder. So I have it pointed to a folder where I have all of my vibe coding projects. And one of my things that I struggle with is within the vibe coding world is I'll get an idea and I'll just try to want to, because it's so easy, just create it and go nuts. So I'm trying to be more thoughtful about what I actually start spending my time on. So I want to take the folder that I have all my projects in and just look at it and try to see if I can get any insights. So I have a prompt that I'm going to send in. And what we're going to do with this prompt is, so we're pointing at the projects folder, and I want two outputs. I want to categorize and document and catalog all of the project information that I have for each of my projects in an Excel file. We're going to a bunch of different metadata, but the project name, the app category, the tools that we use, does it have a claude.md file? When was the last modified date on the claude.md file? The top three largest files, so we're going to start counting the lines of code, description of the app, and then a health score, as well as a summary. And then we're going to create a PowerPoint to also summarize this to kind of show off the PowerPoint capabilities of Claude, which is actually one of my favorite things to do in the browser. I use it a ton. And in the browser, the thing that's been holding me back is how long it takes to actually build the PowerPoint. But my experience so far is that this is much faster. So basically, we're pointing at the projects folder, and we're going to try to catalog and summarize everything that we have going on with an Excel file and the PowerPoint. So let's kick that off. Okay, so then similar to Claude Code, you get a to-do list, which is great to look at to see the direction that we're going to go in. So for this, we're going to explore the repo, we're going to collect the project metadata, calculate the health scores, and then create the actual files. And so as Claude goes through, it'll start checking off each of these. Okay, so it's done. So that took about 20 minutes, and let's see what it came up with. So we have the deliverables, which is the Excel file that we were looking for, and the PowerPoint. So let's open those up. So we can open the Excel first here. Okay, so it looks like it returned 4 tabs. So we have an inventory tab, which is great. So let's zoom in a little bit. Okay, so we have the project name, the category, the language, has that Claude MD file, a description, and the health score. So that's great. So it looks like, all right, so we have 28 projects here. So let's look at the summary. High-level stats is what we were looking for. So we have 28 projects, 11 with Git, and 10 with the Claude.md files. Okay, so that's great. Okay, so now let's look at the PowerPoint that it came up with. All right, so we have a project portfolio snapshot, what's active, what matters, and then some actions to level up. So you get the idea. You can really do anything in terms of creating PowerPoints and Excel files, and I'm sure there's 1,000 different use cases in your day-to-day jobs or in your day-to-day life for this. So I want to see now how well it does and quickly time it on how well it can make changes to a PowerPoint. So what I want to do, I have a brand identity document in my BigDogHQ. So it's basically everything that I create for YouTube, Substack, and X. I have what my brand guidelines are. So the language that I use, the tone, as well as a color palette. So I'm going to try to see if it can find that in this folder and then apply it to the PowerPoint and see how long that takes. So I have a prompt here that I'll paste in. Okay, so I'm going to have it look through the BigDogHQ project folder to find the brand identity, and then we're going to take everything from the brand identity and apply it to the PowerPoint, and we will see how long that takes to do and how well it does. All right, so that took 2 minutes, which is pretty quick for creating or recreating a PowerPoint. So it took my colors, the voice and tone, and the typography. Okay, so let's look at the actual file here. Okay, so it created a new file, not that much different. So the layout's the exact same. It looks like it just, so portfolio snapshot. So I think, let's see if it changed any of the language. Okay, so I don't think it really changed too much of the language, which is fine, but it did change the colors. I don't know. So this kind of just shows you it has the ability to make updates pretty quickly. So that only took about 2 minutes. And then I know, so the whole point of this is, yeah, you can do this in Claude Code, you can do this in the web app, but both have their limitations. And I think that I think the normal person is usually going to start in the web app. And it is annoying copying and pasting and uploading files up to the chat. And that's not really like a file system. So being able to work on your computer and have your own file system and organization, I think is amazing. So I think this is going to be helping out a lot in those use cases. So for the next try here, so we're going to try to now dive into my most current project and see if we can come up with a plan to take the app from where it is now and get it into the App Store. So I'm going to create a new task. Okay, so I am pointed at the project folder. So I'm going to copy and paste my prompt in. And then so here, I'm just looking for basically a project plan to take the app from its existing state and come up with to-dos in order to get this actually live on the App Store. So I'm going to send it off to do that. Okay, and then so the beauty of Cowork is that you can also run things in parallel. So you can save yourself a lot of time by starting a lot of tasks and letting them run in parallel. So for the next one, I want to do some competitor analysis on the DinnerApp to see what's out there for existing apps that are similar and see how my app stacks up. Okay, so in this prompt, we're going to start trying out how well Claude Cowork uses Claude Chrome extension. So we're going to try to have this go to the Chrome browser and do some research. So we're going to try to find 8 to 12 relative competitors and then pull the analysis into an MD file, but then make a PowerPoint that goes over the competitive landscape. So we will kick that off. Okay, Cowork launched the Chrome browser, and we can see that Claude is doing something in Chrome. So it looks like, okay, so we have to log in. I think I'm already logged in, so I'm not sure why it's asking for that again. All right, so authorize. Okay, and now it's off. It's doing Google searches, so couples, meal, decision app, and what we should eat. All right, perfect. So it looks like that's on its way. And then, so while those two tasks are going, I'm going to be doing something completely different. Okay, so I had just connected to a folder on my desktop. So I just got a new credit card and I want to switch over all the subscriptions and the reoccurring charges that I have from my old credit card to my new credit card. So I'm going to have Claude go through the statements and first identify anything that looks like a subscription, categorize it, and then come up with a plan on how to migrate it. I'm not going to have Chrome go in and actually log into services and start entering and removing credit cards, but this is just a way to help me get started. So we'll kick that off. Okay, so the launch plan worked first. So let's see. So it looks like it created a Excel checklist and a PowerPoint. So let's look at the PowerPoint first. Okay, so this is really cool. So it got all of the, right away, you can see it got the same color palette from the app. It looks very similar. So a lot of the same orange and warm colors. So that's really cool. And so this is a great rundown of the app. So I think this is where I'm really liking Cowork versus Claude Code. So I'm more visual, and I think being in a lot of the markdown files, it's not the best to like visually pull information off of really quickly. So I think having this more in a PowerPoint presentation is awesome. We have next 10 tasks by impact. This is great, and it's exactly what I was looking for. All right, and then let's check back in on the competitor research. So it did a bunch of different Google searches and started diving in to a bunch of different websites, and now it looks like it's actually building the presentations. All right, so the competitor analysis just finished. So let's see what this came up with. Okay, so here are the competitors in the space that Claude Cowork found. So we have looks about 8 of them, and I was hoping for a little bit more research here on what each one did, but it does look like there are some tools like this in the space. So Tinder style swiping for couples to match on restaurants. All right, so it goes into key patterns. It looks like the swipe mechanics are definitely there, and then it looks like a lot of them are either restaurants or home cooking, and then for monetization they're doing mostly ads. There you go. That shows off the Cowork's ability to go and use Claude for Chrome, which is great. Let's check back in on how the credit card analysis is going. All right, so it looks like the credit card analysis is still running. It's taking, we have a note here, it's taking longer than usual, but I can see that it has already created the file. It's just trying to reconfirm that there are no dollar values, which I asked it to remove. But the actual file has been created, so we can look at that really quick. So this went through 2 months of credit card statements and 2 months of debit card statements. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to see what recurring charges do I have that we can move over to my new credit card. So it looks like it categorized it. First, it guessed the subscription or if it was recurring, added how often we're paying, and then whether it was either the credit card or the debit card. I gave it confidence and then notes. So then it also has a migration plan. So I'm not sure what the priority or like why it deemed that was, why some things are more of a priority than others, but it has a priority. And then it has a where to update. So this is really great. Let's see if it can split out this column into 2 columns. So it has the actual URL to make this just a click and go to the website and update. Okay, so I'm going to try to see if it can split out the column into a URL column and an instruction column. All right, so actually me sending that in looks like it basically ended the prior one, which was stuck, but it looks like it was ready to go anyways. And then one other thing I wanted to try while this is running, so we'll do a new task. I want to see if it can pull. So I set up the connections to my Google Calendar. So I want to see if it has the ability to pull in what I have to do this weekend. And so when I tried this, right when the app came out, it wouldn't actually use the Google Calendar. It was launching Claude and Chrome. So for whatever reason, it just, even though we have the Google Calendar connection going on, it does not seem to want to use that. So earlier it did launch Chrome with Claude and it was able to go to my Google Calendar and pull my schedule for the weekend, but it got it wrong. It was mismatching days and it started pulling things from next week instead of just this weekend. So I don't think that's there yet, but hopefully that gets there once we get this app out of the testing phase. Okay, so this looks similar to last time. It says it's done, but it's still spinning at the bottom, so I'm not sure what that is. But this actually opened, so let's see if it split out the URL from the instructions so we can click it. So let's go back to the Excel file. And boom, so there you go. So this is exactly what I wanted to do. Okay, so that we got through all the demos and I hope you got something out of this. So you have to be on the Max plan and you have to have a Mac. We ran it through its paces. So we pointed it to a large folder with tons of documents and we're able to summarize, catalog, add metadata, and then create Excel files and PowerPoint on top of that. And then we zeroed into one project and we came up with a game plan to take an app from its current state and get it into the App Store. Same thing there. We were able to use Excel and PowerPoint for that too. And then the best part, while these were running, we started running things in parallel. So we also did a credit card analysis or a bank statement analysis to see what subscriptions we had so that we could move those subscriptions over to a new credit card. Unfortunately, not everything was working. We did run into a few glitches. It doesn't seem like the Google integration is working that well. So I've tried doing things with Gmail and Google Calendar. That doesn't seem like that's like fully working yet, but we're still early. This has only been out for about a week and a half. And they actually only took a week and a half to actually build this thing. So I think once they start making improvements, I'm sure a lot of this is just going to take off. So I hope you liked the video. And if you did, please leave a like and subscribe. So in the next video, we're going to take the game plan that we had from Cowork, building out the next steps to get an app live on the App Store. So I'll see you in the next one.